Hello, everybody. Welcome to the December edition of our community session for Backstage. I am taking over hosting it this week. It is getting into the holidays, so there's some getting into Christmas holidays, so there's some people taking some time off, Vincenzo specifically, so I am going to try my best to run this. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, let's get started. So let's go through a quick agenda for today. So quick welcome. We're going to go through some release highlights from the latest release that went out yesterday. We have OP Financial Group also coming to give a great demo and talk about more about their Backstage story. And then we'll have some time at the end for some questions too. So let's dive into the release highlights. So 1.34 came out yesterday. There's some breaking changes specifically around Keyv and Redis. There's some changes to the notifications API routes as well, which means that they're now mounted on /notifications rather than being at the root. And there's also some small breaking changes for the Scaffolder Gitlab Module too. Around the project though, other places where we've been making some improvements and other highlights. The catalog has seen some changes for performance, so we've been working internally quite a lot on trying to improve the performance of the catalog. So yes, they've all been shipped in 1.34. There's some of them that's behind a feature flag, but yeah, we can talk about more of that later. Lifecycle and health updates, we've been making some changes there as well, just to kind of give us a little bit more flexibility with being able to configure the health checks in particular, so around Kubernetes and making things unhealthy and basically supporting different options for zero downtime deployments. Bitbucket API throttling, so I think this is only one place at the minute. I think it's for the entity provider, I think. Could be wrong there, but basically being able to limit the amount of requests that's been made to Bitbucket. Custom service-to-service tokens, there's some helpers as well for us to be able to extract service-to-service tokens in the authorization headers. There's some different, more improvements to the Yarn plugin. And also we've started looking at removing node fetch. Node fetch has been part of kind of our recommendation in our ADLs for quite some time. But with our move to Node 18 and Node 20, specifically, we now don't really need to support a Node fetch polyfill for having fetch globally now in Node. So we're trying to move away from using Node fetch in a lot of packages and a lot of modules. And there's some opportunity to help out if you want to go contribute there too. As always, please leave some feedback in issues if there's any problems that come up that require us to do patch release. I am going to be working pretty much over holidays, so we can try and do some patch releases if need be, but hopefully there won't be, and everybody's going to take some time off and nobody's going to be working on Backstage. That'll be great. Cool. Okay, moving on then to the main meat of today's meeting. It's going to be OP Financial Group. I think I've seen you all. You are all here, right? Can you all talk? Can you all unmute? Or do I need to give you special permissions to do that? No, we are good. Great. Yep. Let me just make you all co-hosts so that you can all share your screen. Oops, if I can work out my Zoom foo. And then we go. All right, I am gonna now try and stop sharing. There we go. And you have the floor. Take it away.
This one. So Zoom is not so familiar, so let me try if this comes visible.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky to navigate around.
I have to now approve it. Sorry about this. Yeah. Zoom, there we go. Oh, sorry about this hassle. I guess you could start by introducing Henri and Heikki yourself, so while I'm doing this.
Heikki, please start.
Yeah, hello. I'm Heikki Hellgren, and known as throttling as well in the community. And I'm an OP Hub lead developer, and also nowadays I'm part-time Santa Claus. Yeah, I've been working with Backstage for a couple of years now, and also doing the upstream contributions quite a lot. So hello, everyone.
And hello from my behalf as well. So Henri Helakari, and working at OP as well, leading the tribe called Cloud Technologies, where we are basically responsible of the group-wide cloud transformation going to Azure.
All right, and let me get to the. I guess hopefully you're seeing our PowerPoint.
Yep, all good.
All right, so I'm Jyrki Koistinen. I'm product owner for the OP Hub, so our Backstage implementation. And I guess we will spend around 30 minutes or so to going through our 3 years of history. Henri, our cloud technologies tribe lead, is going to give us a insight how the OP financial group has started, let's say, agile transformation, DevOps transformation. So Henri has been working a long time on that. So you will get to know some context. What is the OP? What we do? So we give you this background. Then I will try to squeeze our 3 years, what we have done, and highlight something from that, what we have been doing in 10 minutes. And then I have one slide about the tips and tricks and lessons learned, what we have learned, and how we have got so far and what we have done. And at the end, Heikki will be demonstrating multiple features. And then at the end, I guess we could have some Q&A, and you can ask me questions if you have. Henri, if you want to start.
Yeah, so my role is try to be brief here so that we get actually to the main beef of the meeting and our presentation. But just to recap briefly what OP is for those guys who are not aware. So we're Finnish-based financial group, a bit over 2 million customers. We are customer-owned company, and at the moment we still have 99 branch offices and cooperative banks all around the country. And of course, like through the digital transformation, the amount is decreasing basically at every month, and we are increasing therefore the footprint of digital services towards our customer base every day. It's a rather big company, like from the financials point of view, so generating roughly 2 billion euros in profit annually. But I think that's it from the company information. I think then this is hopefully a bit more interesting. So how we actually initiated the entire journey towards the agile DevOps, and then like as we're talking about today, the Backstage and self-services and that kind of a thing. So I've been at OP now a bit more than 7 years. So it's at the same time the picture in a way shows that what has been my journey, what I've been involved at OP. So, and I've been in a way lucky to be in the key position on these sort of a technical transformations towards the point where we are now. So at 2018, we initiated the OP Enterprise Agile journey, which then was quite of a big step. So we went into this tribe model where in a way the functional organization, the concept of a functional organization was established. The business and IT came together, and therefore we are in a way coming out of working in silos when it comes to IT and business. So that was a bit of a sort of supplier, and then the IT was a supplier, and then the business was doing the other part, but that was a bit cumbersome, and things were taking a long time, and we were not generating the value, especially not in the speed that we were supposed to. The CEO was changed, and that was in a way a big initiator why we did the change there. And it was in a way a bureaucratic, and things were slow, and we were slow in the decision making as well. But that was a sort of a kickoff to this modernization journey. Then rather quick in 2019, so the DevOps transformation was launched and approved as well by the board. So that was a good thing. Then we sort of set it up as well, center of excellence around the DevOps and engineering, which we had a mission to modernize the software development, what kind of automation, what kind of pipelines, what kind of team setups we need in the business side as well to be in DevOps. And at that time, the Dev and Ops were really separated. So the teams, application teams, were handling the development, and then there was a sort of a dedicated centralized organization doing the operations. And then there was like a movement more towards the end-to-end responsibility. And then came to 2020, where we actually brought really concrete actions, measurements, engineering practices, what were our key priorities in the development, so that we actually started to emphasize the lead time and deployment frequency once we had the capabilities in place, like for example, the pipelines and that kind of automation which we created during the 2019-2020. As well, we started the sort of a self-evaluation or assessment capabilities, so that we have a thorough understanding throughout the organization what kind of what is our position and stand in terms of the DevOps, and what is the maturity, so that we're able to take then the according to the results and data as well, the proper decisions then to tackle the needy problems that we have in the organization. The 21 that as well was a good year in a way, so because we introduced the model, company-wide model called, like you probably are familiar with that one already, so 70-20-10, where we actually, because one of the bottlenecks we found out was that people don't have time to do the automation, to improve the architecture or develop anything else than the features. And that model, in a way, whereas the essence in that model is that we basically have the 20% time in improving the things in an autonomous teams, and then as well 10% of our time is dedicated in updating the competence and skills. For example, I don't know, learning a new coding language or whatever. So that was a big thing in our enterprise agile journey too. Then we're coming more close to the DX, and that was, I would say, in 22, that was the main, or actually the first year where we started to talk about the DX and the developer experience. There was a first, I had a look in the slides as well. So there was, in the DX, there was the first sort of a mention of the Backstage as well. So we had done certain research so that would be a good tool to deploy. And if I recall correctly, we did some piloting there. There was as well other things that we found out in our DX survey that we would need to prioritize to get the developer experience in a better shape. That was really a poor at that time, and there was several problems, both technical and non-technical problems. And there I would say that in a way the DX journey started. And up until this time, we have been like fully in on-premise hybrid infrastructure world. And then in 23, so we announced the Microsoft partnership, and at the same time, the objective of being 100% in public cloud by 2030. and now we are we have been going or doing that journey now roughly 1 year, with the mission to simplify our architecture, our tooling, our application landscape, and go really have an ambitious target of modernizing from various aspects our software development and business landscape as well. Not to mention the security and compliance related things, which are now really an important one. So we believe that with the public cloud, we're able to tackle those. And then I think the 24, so that was the first real year of the Backstage. So now during 24, as we are closing the end, so we really have embarked good success. There's already really wide range of users. People know what it is, and we have been able to bring new interesting features, and there's a coverage already in place in the Backstage. So this is, for me, it's a first real year. And now if you asked from somebody in the organization that what is the Backstage in our terms, OP Hub, so I bet they would know. But in 23, that wasn't the case yet. So now there's some recognition already around this movement in the organization, and now, of course, in the upcoming years, so now this Backstage is really in the core of our public cloud transformation as well, so that we are able to provide really the self-services with the high quality in a sort of so that we're taking the cognitive load off the developers as well with this portal, so it's easy to use. And I think we have a lot of ideas how to further develop it with with including all the documentation, all of the critical guidelines as well, how the AI will come there. So that will be a centerpiece and as well the masterpiece of our DX journey in the upcoming years. So, but that's like in a nutshell our journey towards the public cloud and the DX vision from the past 7 years. So now I think it's time for Jyrki to proceed to the next pages.
All right. So here we have a timeline. So how we have come so far. So as everything, there needs to be something that initiate, let's say, change or new experiments. And for OP, it was documentation, aggregation, and compliance. So as you saw that we have thousands of developers from, let's say, tens of years of let's say, development, there's lots of documentation available. So finding the information is always, let's say, a challenge. So, and then of course, in the banking and insurance sector, you have, of course, compliance and security that are, let's say, key of the development and let's say, strategy. So those were the initiators of how this got started around the documentation and compliance. So the first year, this is just highlighting few things that what I want to shortly mention, that started around the documentation. Of course, when you are, let's say, internal development portals as a concept was quite new to many. It's still not that old technology. We have lots of expertise around the DevOps and so forth, but this what are these development portals and what we do with those? I guess that was the how this started, and the scope, as I said, is around the documentation. So then this Backstage was found, and of course how to operate, how to get that up and running. The first year was really like experimenting and learning how that is working, how you basically get data, external data like Confluence, in our sense that how we can bring external data and search that, and also how the catalog works, that what data, like from the compliance perspective, and let's say to be able to see the assets. That was also one of the key drivers, so that we get the first integrations to the external systems and then ingest the data from there and try helping the owners of those systems to be compliant. So some information from those there and basically bring this to one place. Just to mention that the feedback was one of the drivers. So also like still today and well, what we already provided very early is that provides a feedback functionality so that the developer experience wouldn't be just surveys once or twice a year, but there will be a constant flow how the feedback is captured. I will address this a bit later. Confluence search, like I mentioned, this was, let's say, good, let's say, first integration, how to get lots of documentation and how to be able to search that. So it taught us lots of things about how to integrate and also how the search needs to be, let's say, developed or configured to have some meaningful data from, let's say, all those pages that are in Confluence. So lots of thinking around the search. So the December 22 was the MVP. So basically, so this up and running and then communication and lots of demos about this internally. So that this kind of, let's say, is available. And of course, like always, there's when you are bringing something new, there's, let's say, some people are really enthusiastic and say that, yes, this is the best ever. Then the other side that you have to really justify that what we are doing and this makes sense and why you are doing this, why you're introducing new things. So this is like always a challenge. Then the first contributions to the open source in the beginning of 23. So this couple of plugins that I guess Heikki will demonstrate later. So that basically introduced how to develop the plugins. So there were some experiments also with the templates, how to build the self-services, how those are working. But I guess the beef was that it was identified that there's so much potential around the DX around September or something like that in 22 that it was decided that this is scoped in the wider scope that what else we could do with this. So there's so much potential that what we do and at that point team was scaled up. So this documentation portal was the original name. So it was, let's say, it was hard to think better name. What would be the name? We spent, let's say, quite much time thinking that what would be this kind of name that lasts time, and we came up with the OP hub. So it's like a center of things in a sense. More resources, so we invested more. So we identified what we can build, especially around the automation, bringing more and more data to the catalog, helping the teams to understand what kind of assets we have, how to bring the documentation to one place, how to build these self-services. So we have, let's say, exact numbers I don't have, but let's say, let's say in cloud technologies, we have a couple of hundred alone, let's say, providing these platform capabilities for the team. So it's, let's say, lots of services that are internally provided. So we saw lots of potential that how we can make these self-services instead of this really time-consuming Jira tickets or other let's say, requests that are then really handled slowly. So how about if you can order those yourself? And then, of course, we notice that when we are scaling this up, we have to productize this. So if we want to use this as a platform and build this as a, let's say, key player, we have to productize it. So then we started after MVP thinking that how we need to operate, what kind of working practices, what kind of monitoring and so forth we need to have in place. So that took quite a while, how we do the testing, how we do the releasing, all those thinking. And of course, it's a constant improvement, but especially during the 23, we put effort there. Then this kind of few, let's say, highlights. So we had about 9,000 repositories at that time, and we are thinking of how we get this visible. All these, we don't want to have this catalog YAML files of all these repositories. So there must be some way. And then we figured out, and there's this EDP that I will introduce a bit later, that there's a internal platform, data platform that is basically providing us data. I will show you later a bit more about that. So we figure out that we can have these components, repositories basically ingested automatically, and we just get the data. There's automatically generated entities then representing repositories and components, so to speak. Homepage was implemented, so it provides like a home that tries to show you what kind of relevant content you should be working on, what you are working on. So the relations, it knows you about the relations, what you are working on. So this was also yet another plugin implemented, and it is it was a good, let's say, example that how we could make this kind of context awareness, let's say, views. Then we come up with now 23, and if you remember, around this 23 August came this Microsoft strategy also, and then this Azure, like we need to migrate to Azure. That really, let's say, kicked in that how we make this OP hub, let's say, the way to order and get this all the documentation and services for the development teams from one place. And there we really start thinking that how we scale up this further. This Azure migration is a really good, let's say, opportunity, but also the greatest challenge of lifetime, that how we make this basically platform that can support the teams on this migration effort. So that was really, let's say, then we identified many things from there. I guess we could, there maybe in the tips and tricks, I have something about that. So then we, of course, then we have this markdown, so like README files. So that was the separate thing, that how we can get all these README files without these catalog infos. And we had one lunch, we had walking back to office, and we came with the idea that yeah, we can do this also through the EDP. So we know these repositories components, so they can also provide that. Let's say, give me all the README, so we can basically have a other way around how we can just get all these documentation in, and then those components that are introducing the tech docs and the catalog info, of course, those are visible, but this is still in use. Let's say how we got all the READMEs from the repositories visible. Then a couple of integration, let's say also the EDP was involved, how we get the APIs visible, how we get the integration and data from Rancher about Kubernetes. That is also, let's say, we were able to bring the entities and show the relationships for these. Then we started working on this notification, Heikki mainly in the upstream, that how we build these notifications, that we want to notify people mainly around the template failures when they are failing, but we have also other use cases now that we have been taking that into use and will be using that more and more in the future, that how we can notify people about questions around entities, or if there's something, let's say, wrong, that we will see this patcher in action. So how we can, let's say, inform the users that you have to do something. Please check. A part of this self-services or templates. So we already had that when we were thinking that Azure strategy and how we implement that. And we had already some time thinking that there will be hundreds of self-services or templates available, that how we can help users to navigate in this. So the self-service is like all these golden patterns of how you can understand what you are ordering. So we came up with this kind of it's not the marketing layer, but also like a documentation layer about this kind of products that you are ordering, that we will also look at. We provide a layer about the information, like a security compliance conducts, all kind of release notes, that kind of information that you want to know before you are ordering. If you're ordering something first time, it gives you more information, so you don't have to go to Confluence or some tech docs. But we have a optimizedly integrated, so we have the CMS system that was integrated, and that is used for the products. At this time, we had 500 unique monthly users, so that is something we have been counting also from the beginning. We want to see, is this used? Are there people that are coming back or not? Then continue to 24. So this is at this time, so around January 24, we went quite small, so we wanted to, people were leaving. We were switching some resources, but then we were also investing even more to build this Azure capabilities. So currently it's around 14 people working in our Backstage team. So it's think about the investment, what we are putting on this. So we are really building something, and we believe that this can solve so much and bring the DX value. So we also heavily invest in this. Yeah, maybe not to highlight the health checks, maybe I say that when these templates especially are run, we wanted to have a way to prevent the, let's say, execution of those templates that are doomed to fail. So we implemented this kind of health checks that are automatically disabling the templates if certain integration is down, for instance, version control or something else is down, it automatically disables the template. So we don't get those, let's say, partially run templates that then needs to be cleaned up. This was really what we will also see, this Herbert, it's an AI-based chat, OpenAI. So now all the information that we have available for search is also available for Gen AI. So it knows how to answer question based on the data we have available. And this has been proven to be really, let's say, helpful in certain cases. Going through all those Confluence searches and those, of course, it might be able to help you, but usually you're having some question and trying to guess the correct, let's say, words, or you remember some page that you have visited. Yeah, it was having the information, but now we have this Herbert, and we will see it a bit later. Then to highlight one important thing, so let's say building the internal community inner source. So I don't remember exactly how much we had at this point, but let's say already a couple of tens, maybe 30, 40 people have contributed. So how to build this contribution? So this was the first time there was, let's say, this self-services templates have been already implemented for a year and a half at this point, but this time there was a first plugin implemented by the contributing team. So this brought our robot framework documentation visible to GitHub. And I think the last slide. So so currently we are around 1,000 active monthly users. We brought up, like, we have also this cloud journey concept. So it's like we have doing lots of migrations, hundreds, not about even 1,000 migrations from, let's say, on premises or some other cloud provider to Azure. So there's a concept called cloud journey. And of course, we have lots of implementations already that how this cloud journey is guided through OP Hub, but now we have also this kind of articles and documentation aspect that we try to have this kind of really polished documentation for the teams that they consume and understand the basics, that how this is the platform is built and how to operate, how that works. So how this journey basically takes the team from the current, let's say, implementation to the Azure. So it's basically supports all the way. Like it's just to show you, this was I put there that currently we have about 15 contributions going with different teams in parallel. So it gives you that we have, let's say, we are implementing lots ourselves, but also there's let's say quite much coming from other teams as well. So there's, let's say, constant push to get more and more self-services. Then something about the future. So AI is something we really want to invest next year. So how we can utilize the AI to help and get rid of this kind of a user support, mainly that if we have, let's say, means to sort of provide information and help through AI, then we have also plans to integrate the Herbert that we will see soon, how we could integrate that to the teams as a bot or as an app, or also like what we could do with the co-pilots and AI agents. So that is also for the next year. And what we have also next year is this building, let's say, like I said, we have several hundred people that are providing these services, and there are, let's say, lots of different Jira projects and people involved. So we want to provide one UI for them to ask questions and provide, let's say, feedback, feature request, bugs, and so forth. So we're building this kind of a means to first of all use the AI, try to first get rid of that support in first place, but then if you need help, it will basically route your problem or request to correct team. So we are building this kind of UI there. And feedback is something that maybe I mentioned that like I said, that it is important to capture the feedback and provide the means that users don't need to know where to get the help from, but they know that if I get to OP Hub, I will find some way means to provide the feedback. I, as an entity owner, as some, let's say, service provider, I can communicate to my customers because we know the relationships. So it also like this kind of, so tell about the upcoming release or release notes of the, let's say, latest release. Those are available, but those also can be communicated via notifications, so you can subscribe to get the information. And last, so we are of course then migrating the OP Hub also to the Azure next year. Then to give something what we have learned, so we have invested a lot to the, let's say, monitoring, reporting, and the ops side. So the couple of, let's say, screenshots. So we are monitoring the active users, like I mentioned several times. But like what we have been building, do not raise this. It's just a, let's say, friction of the information. So we have lots of information visible, so we can really operate based on the data, and that was really something. We had some problems that, let's say, we have so much data in catalog or something is failing, but we don't know what is happening. So we're really building all these capabilities to operate. We have also dedicated release reliability engineers. So we really now get to, let's say, source of problem quite quickly with this, let's say, really advanced monitoring we are having. Then this about the EDP that I promised to say that, so like this EDP was also kicked, let's say, it was 23, beginning of 23. So let's say this EDP started from our Backstage work, but then we noticed that this EDP is actually something that should be our own team. There should be this kind of function at OP that does this kind of getting the data from different places, and then of course it can build different use cases, not only the Backstages. It can be doing reporting, and it is doing lots of reporting, for especially our Azure migration, to see what we are doing, what the teams, where they are. And there are, of course, other customers also for this EDP. So this is something that was really has been helping us to scale and helping us to build. So like, I don't have now numbers, but I think more than half of the data what we have is coming through our EDP. So of course we have also direct integrations, providers and processors, but lots of the data is coming from the engineering data, especially like this kind of big data amounts like Jira tickets, Confluence data, Bitbuckets, and that kind of thing. So how we get that kind of big amounts of data regularly. So quite busy slide. Maybe I don't spend so many minutes here, but maybe you can read this. So like what the Backstage is, what is the internal development platform? I think after 3 years, almost after 3 years, it's still like learning experience, and you learn more and more what we could do with this. So of course it takes time to learn. Like I mentioned already, how you sell the idea. We have Matti Pisilä, we can say that luckily we had Matti that was basically founding this Backstage and was really, let's say, helping us to sell the idea about this Backstage. And then, so all that work to get this thing started, now it's basically rolling and just growing. But how to make this first, let's say, how to sell the idea. Then, of course, the problem that once you identify that what all these things, what we can do with that. So of course you have to focus on something. So during this 22 and 23, there was lots of user interviews trying to understand that what are the different roles and what kind of problems and what kind of demand they are having. What use cases the OP Hub should be serving. That was really gave us not only about the developer experience, but this kind of daily tasks that are what you are basically spending your time around, about how this could be helping. It was really, let's say, good to capture that input from very different, also maybe 50, even more than 50 people were interviewed from different roles. So how you get users? So start with this easy template, self-services. So like still we have, and at the beginning especially, we were just having something that usually you create a Jira ticket, but now you had a, let's say, means to have a clean and let's say, kind of Jira tickets that are easily then processed by the team. So there are many, that is easy way to how to create a Jira ticket from self-service template. Then that all this, let's say, how you can bring value, especially with the plugins, that those are quick wins that it gives you, let's say, speed up, that identify what plugins you could utilize at the beginning. Then when you learn building this, developing this on your own, of course, you see that that's the really, let's say, how you can really make those as you want, but that this is maybe if you don't have time to invest. So that is really helpful to see what plugins are available. And it has really grown in this, let's say, 2.5 years, lots of new plugins. building this internal community in a source culture, it wasn't, let's say, every day, and still not everyday work. So like how you can build that kind of culture that you can contribute. You can say that if you don't like it, go and fix it. So don't create the ticket, but you can also fix it. Or if you have ideas, what do you want to do? So just contribute. So getting that up and running, it takes time, and for that, especially now that we have a lot of contribution going, we have really, let's say, tried to find ways that how we can improve this contribution process to make it somehow like a productized, that it will be faster, because for some templates it have taken almost a year to complete. They have been really complicated and really time consuming to develop, and the people are working doing something, let's say, as their main task, and then they are doing this template, let's say, as a side hobby. So they can be really time consuming then to implement. So we have really now invested to document and also like automate this. We have this kind of kick-off sessions where we go the idea through that is this going to be implemented? Yes, it's going to be implemented. What kind of needs it has? What it's going to be scope? What kind of data needs it's having? What entities are needed in catalog? How this should be implemented? Where it needs to be integrated? Are the actions in place and so forth? So we capture those now at the beginning. What kind of security checks are needed and so forth? So we have, let's say, tried to polish this process that it would be more efficient all the time. Maybe I skip few things. This Backstage-con we attended first time this year, and it was really eye-opening. It also, let's say, gave us good, let's say, talk that we are doing right things. So we haven't, of course, we are skeptical that are we doing the right things? Are we on the right track? So that was really something that, let's say, helped us to understand, yeah, we have been doing the right things. But also gave us many new contacts. And that is, I think we will be also participating next year. Participate the communities, contribute and collaborate. So contribution, I guess last time we checked, the OP Financial Group was the third most active Backstage contributor, I think. And also we have been now open to collaborate. So collaborating with different companies, and we have our contacts at the end. So if you want to contact us, and you want to discuss something, or you want to cooperate on something that resonated with you, so we can of course discuss and have open discussions. Then very practical. So we have been like trying to get this DevOps ways of working and how we are efficient. So we have currently in a monorepo, and it has been proven to be at the moment at least the best basically decision so far. And how we are doing, we have 3 environments. We have dev environment. So basically when you are merging, it's deployed to the dev. In dev, we have the staging and test environments integrated from the other systems. And then we have limited data, mainly test data. And then we have 2, in a sense, similar environment, test and prod. So when we are then taking something from dev to test, that is exactly data-wise and integration-wise the production replica. So we can really test things there before we put things to production, because what we have seen that the staging test instances and this limited amount of data, that caused some hiccups, especially around the catalog, that we had so much data that we have to, now we are able to validate before we take to the production. At least this is the what we are currently working. And this is our current, so if you're thinking how we are operating, so we have, let's say, 7 developers. Then we have 4 from our DevOps and RE competence area. Then we have a dedicated product designer, let's say, with the designer background. That is really helpful for the UI things. And then solution analyst, and of course the product owner myself. And now, like the last thing is that adapt to changes. So like still today, we can only see, let's say, 1 month ahead or maybe 2 months ahead. So there's so much unknown, and there's so much new things coming when we are building, so that accept the unknown and constant learning, still constant learning. We could do what we should do. And this, especially with these templates and self-services, so we have really learned how this could be improved. And we have started from something and been really developing also our skills internally, that how this could be even better. And I think this is the final slide. And now I leave rest of the time for Heikki to really show the demos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Jyrki. I don't know how much I have time left, but I try to be quick. First of all, I will say that I will demo this from localhost just to prevent from any business critical information leaking. And this local environment is working almost in a production-like environment. So we have all the Postgres and Redis and OpenSearch available here. And also we are using the var mock to mock our integration. So it's possible to do this kind of demos without the real data. But anyways, let's get going. So first of all, we have the homepage, and this is the default page where user lands when he arrives to the OP Hub, and it's possible to edit this. And this is one of my first contributions to the open source home plugin, and it's possible to add more widgets here. So for example, if you want to see your AWS accounts, it's possible to add a widget for that, and it will be saved here, and all the users can edit this as they like. So it's work ongoing because we don't have so many widgets, but we will add them as the need arises. All right. I try to be quick with this because there's so much to show. Anyways, let's move to the search. This looks a bit different from what you get with plain Backstage instance. There's lots of different sources, and another cool feature here is that you can actually save the searches, and also your recent searches show up in the UI, and it's easy to get back to the search results with that. And that's about the search basically. We use OpenSearch for this and have quite a lot of data from different sources. Of course, the catalog and tech docs and so forth, what comes out of the box, but also this Confluence and Jira data is available here. All right, next we jump to the catalog, and as you have maybe noticed, we have all this info text for all the pages, so users know what to expect, and this can be closed and restored from the settings if wanted. Catalog looks pretty much the same as the upstream version of this, but when you go, for example, the system page, we have quite a lot of data here that is coming from external systems, and we also have these error warnings here when you have something missing from the data, and that leads us to the patches. So the patches are an internal plugin that checks for entity health, and we can do all kinds of checks here, also manual checks, so user have to go there and approve that something has been done. And these patches contain different checks, and these checks then can be pointed to different kinds of entities. And when you click, for example, you get information that what must be done if you have something missing here. That's about it. Then we jump to the documentation. So this is the basically first feature that was introduced to OP Hub. So possibility to add links to systems and for different kinds of documentation, just to get the documentation available in one place. It's usually in the Confluence, but sometimes in other systems as well. Then we have also the Q&A integration here, so you can ask questions about entities and they show up in their own tab. And also we have the self-services available here, so you can run self-services directly from the entity page. I think this was also an open source plugin that allows this, and you can target the specific templates for specific kinds of entities to show up here. And then we have the feedback. So we have possibility to send feedback to any entity, and it also allows you to create a Jira ticket if you want to. For example, this uses the same plugin, but this is now targeted to the OP Hub system. So it's possible to create Jira ticket, and you also see the status of the Jira ticket and priority here available. So this is quite new feature to have in for each entity. All right, I think we have a couple of minutes left, so I hurry up. Then, as Jyrki mentioned, we have the products. This is a layer on top of the self-services that allows us to add more detail or more documentation and more information for the users, how different products are created, and when you start ordering some product, it will actually take you to the self-services and get you started from there. Then we have the patches, basically an overview of specific patch, and you can find which entities are following the checks or which are not. And this is still a work ongoing to get this clean and beautiful, but it works for now. All right, tech docs, I think I will skip this, nothing new from the upstream tech docs. Then we jump to the cloud journey, and this is another plugin or another content that's coming from outside our team, so from the CMS, and this collects information for our teams, how to start the Azure migration or how to start developing. So there's quite a lot of documentation available here and how to get started. And when you want to start your cloud journey, it will also take you to the self-services side. Then we have the first internal plugin that was developed by other teams, so the robot framework documentation that's available here, and it allows you to basically see the documentation for different keywords in robot framework that's used quite heavily in OP. Then we jump to the self-services, and this is pretty much the same that you get from Backstage. Of course, there's some UI tuning done here and possibility to send feedback about the templates and so forth. We have done quite a lot of field extensions and custom actions and so forth underneath, and there's 96 templates in my current setup, but most of these are, for example, for testing. We run our custom actions in the integration testing phase and so forth, so we get those problems caught in short time. Next, we jump to the AI stuff. So Herbert is an AI chat that uses OpenAI underneath, and it actually uses the OP Hub search to create the context around the prompt. It's possible to fine-tune the prompting here in the settings, and I will ask it a question. Let's see how it goes. And the context is not so big in my local development environment, of course, because I don't have all the data here, but in the production, this really uses all the Confluence data and Jira and so forth. But yeah, you can get information and examples, and then you also get the links where this information is available. But yeah, this is our first try with the AI in Backstage. Then we jump to the Q&A. So this is an open source plugin as well. So knowledge base basically where you can ask questions and write articles and so forth. And this is also integrated to the notification system. So when someone asks a question about your entity, you will get the notification about that. And this is also integrated to the Herbert. So when a question is asked, it will actually try to answer it with AI. And that's pretty nice feature. So you probably get your answer from the AI before anyone even gets answered to the question.
Conscious of time, we are running out of time pretty quickly, and we've got some questions in the chat that I just want to answer before we run to the top of the hour.
Okay, let's do that.
This is great. I didn't want to interrupt your demo because it's a great demo, and I think this is really good for people to learn. There's no better way just to see what other people are doing, right? But yeah, I think we're running out of time, unfortunately. Zachary has a question around: are your contributing teams only providing templates, or are they also contributing other items such as plugins to the OP Hub?
Yeah, for now it has been mostly the templates. The RFdoc is first plugin that was contributed from outside our team, and we hope this gets spread out so we get more contributions also outside the templates.
And there's another question from Zachary as well, saying, what do you define as an entity versus what should be, or what should we define as an entity versus what should be metadata or annotations? I can take a stab at this one a little bit. So I think from what we recommend as maintainers and kind of owners of the catalog model is the thing that go in spec in entities are more, they are metadata around the annotation itself, whereas annotations, we really just use them as foreign keys to look them up in some other service. So they're normally just like references to another service with an annotation which defines, like, I don't know, PagerDuty key, things like that, that will help you identify this entity itself in a remote service or some other service, basically. I don't know if that's the same as what you do, Heikki, I'm not sure, but I think that's kind of what we recommend, is that the things that's going in spec are basically metadata around that component itself or that system domain, but then annotations are used for it. Is that what you meant, or is that not what you meant? You can also jump on and chat if you want. You don't have to chat, but it's entirely to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I asked the question horribly. Really, what I was asking about is determining what should you actually make as an entity versus what things you might say, this itself shouldn't be an entity. I really can just add this as, oh, this is metadata about an entity. So that's some of the things we're struggling with, is maybe putting too many things into our catalog as entities that really maybe shouldn't be an entity itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can comment shortly that the whole this entity world has been really, let's say, what the Backstage brought to us also to us. What is our, let's say, entity model? What kind of entities we are having in different systems and how we can combine. So this is, let's say, still we are very struggling with that every week, that what kind of entities, what they mean, what data is basically just metadata for certain entity and what should be like an entity. It's really, we have this kind of internal discussion around this all the time.
Yeah, I think from our experiences, things like creating things in the catalog or having different kinds in the catalog allow you to create pages for them and, like, be able to provide plugins for that functionality of that kind, right? I think we don't import things that are short-lived, like ephemeral stuff, like instances, like pods in Kubernetes. We don't really import them into the catalog because they're fast-moving. We don't really want to store fast-moving data in the catalog. We're just things that are static, things that are going to be there for a while, things like components and stuff like that. And yeah, and clusters, for instance, we import clusters because they're kind of static, they don't move so quick, but the actual contents of what's running on the cluster, like the actual service itself, how many pods it's doing, we just call out to the Kubernetes API for that. There's no point in storing that in the catalog. I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit.
Yep.
Nice. And there was one more that you had, ability to add links limited to entity owners.
I think this was related to system documentation. Currently, it's not limited, so we trust that because there's trail, we can see that who has edited, who had added that. So there's also trail, so everyone can add this. So anyone from the members, so everyone. So it's basically contribution, also possibility to help others.
Nice, great. This has been great. Thank you so much for your time and showing us your demo and give us an insight into your Backstage adoption journey. I see a lot of very similar stuff to what we have at Spotify, especially our journey to get there too, like trying not to solve everything at once because it can get very complex very quickly. Like, you know, try and solve one thing, be really good at it, and then keep adding more and more things to it and make it more valuable for more people. So it's been super great to hear your story. Just a little bit last from me before I head out, or we head out. Happy holidays to everybody. I think we're going to do one in January. I think I'll open up a ticket and we can, if anybody's wanted to come and give some more demos, or if anybody wants to come and speak in the January edition, then please do reach out. But until then, yes, please have some time off and enjoy. Yeah, we'll see you all in the new year. Thank you all.